We were having a great discussion about our dream analysis.
Great.
Supposed to be loading. Oh, hold on. I did this thing again. Okay.
Okay, we're on the right screen.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to turn the volume down again just so I don't get double feedback. All right. Am I good to go?
You are good to go.
So I'm Ariel Agenbroad. For those of you that have not met me, I am with University of Idaho Extension in the Boise area. And I love talking to people about marketing. In fact, we were late getting back on the webinar because we were starting to talk about farmers markets and some of the other options that folks have in our area here. So what I was going to do for the next few minutes is just briefly share some of the ideas that I've come across and that have been shared with me over the years about different ways to assess your market and sell what you grow. So I'm going to start off with just a really quick discussion about what matters right now to consumers. So I spend a lot of time tracking consumer trends, trying to read about, where are we going in the food world and how small farmers can tap into that and take advantage of that. And so some of these things are things that you really can do best, even though there are other marketers that are trying to capitalize on this desire among consumers. But you really are the authentic, real farm piece of this. So we've seen a real shift in what consumers want, and people want to eat foods that they consider fresh. This goes just past raw fruits and vegetables into just anything that is minimally processed and in its whole or natural state. So this could be whole foods like fresh fruits, vegetables, herbs. It could also be products made from these. It could be fresh juices and cold pressed coffees and anything that might just come across to the consumer as being fresher, closer to the farm. This is just huge business. And if you look at our retail grocery stores, you look at the shelf space now that is devoted to fresh foods and ready to eat and prepackaged versus say canned vegetables. They've got a smaller and smaller component of the grocery. And you look at frozen too. Frozen sections have grown exponentially. So this is really where customers are looking to shop. So the tables have turned. This is really a way of saying that people are not eating sit-down meals as much anymore, almost at all. They're eating on the go. They're eating in their cars. They're eating at work. They're eating out and about. However, they are spending more time in it. They're spending more time eating on the go, right? They want these fresh foods. They want sometimes these homemade flavors, but they're not eating at home and they're not sitting around the table together, which is kind of sad. And hopefully some of you are the exception to that. But that is a general way in which people are eating. So thinking about ways that food can be convenient, that food can be portable, and how you can help these people, your customers, eat the kinds of foods they want to eat, but making it easier for them. So eating early and eating often. So Americans are eating breakfast more than they ever did before. So this is a good thing, especially if you are raising, say, eggs. You're raising fruits, you're raising artisan grains, you're making specialty food products that can be enjoyed in the morning. So breakfast is really big. People are eating earlier and they're eating often, which is a way of saying that we are snacking a lot in America. On average, Americans are eating 3+ snacks per day. So be thinking about that too. There's lots of different ways that we can package or market agricultural products in a snackable form. Things like nuts and seeds and dried fruits and all the different things that people might enjoy as a snack. And just because our food is homegrown doesn't always mean it has to be super healthy, right? We can still produce lots of delicious locally produced snacks. But we can also make it easier for our healthy foods to be enjoyed on the go. So food with a story. This is where I think you really have the edge as a small producer with a local market, is that you've got a story and you can tell it. And the grocery stores can arrange their produce departments to look like farmers markets. They can use all the right colors. They can put everything on a chalkboard, right? But you actually have that story. You have a farm in the community where people are living, and you're selling that farm story as well as the products that you're raising and growing. So capitalize on that, the fact that you've got an authenticity that goes along with your product that nobody else can really take or fake. So dash free, right? This is not that we're going to be giving our foods away. It's that Americans are much more conscious of what they're eating. Many people are adapting their diets to meet some kind of need, whether it is a health-based need, a value need, a lifestyle need. And so we're seeing a lot more emphasis on foods that are, say, vegan or dairy-free or grain-free or gluten-free. And so you've got an opportunity here to look at what people are eating and how can your products align with those values and those needs, whether it's allergies or they're eating for a specific disorder, or they just have a preference, right? So there are lots of different reasons why people choose different kinds of dietary restrictions. And being that you've got access to these fresh grown products, sometimes the way that you raise your livestock is going to really align with those values. Or the different kinds of, you might be focused on artisan grains or alternative dairy products. And then the whole hog or the really real food. So I talked about people are snacking and they're eating, definitely they want their snacks and their unhealthy foods, quote unquote, to still be, more healthy. But there's still quite an interest in that eating nose to tail and really having genuine, authentic foods. So when you are raising, especially livestock, being able to really market all the parts of that livestock and encourage people to try new cuts of meat or different body parts that are maybe even organs, you might start getting a lot more interest from your customers for things that they never wanted to buy before. People wanting bones to make bone broths and soups, even people who have the resources to feed their dogs better than they feed themselves and looking for, grass-fed raw food. It's really incredible, especially when you live in an urban area, just what some people are looking for and just what they are willing and able to pay for those. And you might find a niche that you never imagined you could actually find. And so instead of looking at some of these things as byproducts or things that you've got to dispose of, they might turn out to be your special niche and what you're known for. Right, and then sophisticated shortcuts. Again, people are busier, they're eating on the go, they're snacking. How can you make it easier for them to access your products and to eat local? Not everybody has the luxury of time to visit a big, busy downtown market. They might go to a big downtown market, when they've got friends or family in town. Some people are absolutely going to shop that way. That is part of their lifestyle. But for many others, they might also be working on Saturday. They may not really have the time to just go and leisurely, browse around. So how can you reach those customers? How can you make it easy for them to access your products? Maybe it's through online sales. Maybe it's through delivery services. Just being really creative in how you make your choice the easy choice, if possible. So really quick, 13 different ways to market your farm and your farm products. There are a lot of things that we think about, and then there are a lot of creative ideas, and there are plenty that aren't even on this list that you guys are going to come up with because you're all really clever. So on farm. So this is selling directly from your farm. Things that might be sold this way could be hay. This could be live animals. This could be fruits and vegetables at a fruit stand. You Pick is taking it a little bit farther, right? People are coming onto your farm and then they're actually doing the work of harvesting for themselves, right? You might think that sounds really great. And I think some of you also realize that there are a lot of rules and restrictions and headaches that might come with that as well. But many people are looking for that ag experience as well as that delicious product. So this could be very popular in certain areas if your market is not yet saturated. Agritourism, taking it even a step farther, right? They come onto your farm because they desperately want a little piece of rural life, or they want to introduce their children to it. They want to spend an afternoon, living your fantasy life, right? Because you all know that you live a fantasy life. It's all just, big buckets of flowers and um, sunshine, and not a lot of hard work. But they want a taste of that and they want to experience that. So they want to traipse around and they want to feed a lamb and they want to pick some apples and make cider and then take home a pie. And if you do it right, you can become really an important social and cultural gathering place for your community. But again, this is going to take a higher level of preparation, regulation, etc. Farmers market, we're going to talk about that throughout. I've given my class here the Idaho Farmers Market brochure so that they know of every market in their area and can start contacting market managers and finding out about what it takes to sell at that market. Community supported agriculture, subscription service, right, where you sell a share of your farm. And you can make a CSA out of everything. I've seen soup CSA, I've seen bread CSA, I've seen meat, fruit, and vegetable CSAs. Custom sales, right? So this is if you don't have a USDA butcher facility in your area, you can sell custom animals and then help them get that meat to a custom butcher. And then some other ideas that are probably a little bit level 2. This is after you've gotten a little bit of production under your belt. So selling at a retail grocery store or at a specialty store like a co-op or a gift shop. Selling directly to restaurants. Diane Green, who's going to talk after I did, literally wrote the book on selling to restaurants. So she's a great resource for us. Institutional sales, selling to a hospital or a school. Cooperatives or food hubs. So this is aggregating your products with other like-minded growers so that you've got a greater quantity maybe to sell into some of those retail or institutional markets. And then internet sales. We were talking about that here in our class a little bit, about really making it easy for people to find you and to purchase from the comfort of their own couches, right? And just click a button and fresh food comes their way. A little bit more complicated than that, but there's a lot of tools out there to help you do that. Okay, and then the last one is services rendered. So this is not even really a product that you're selling your expertise, you're selling your access to equipment. So think about ways that you can support other small farmers and generate some income based on the things that you know how to do. And so some ideas that we see often, are cut flowers, again, that agritourism, CSA and farmers markets. These are lots of different ways to sell your products, but I want you to really keep thinking about creatively. All right, just got probably a couple more minutes. So where do you stand? So these are just some really quick and dirty steps to assessing, where you might look for a market and what might go into making these decisions. So first of all, get to know your customer. Who is going to buy your product? What do they buy? How often do they buy it? And at what price point are they willing to afford it? So if you don't have this customer in your community, you may have to bring your products to a different community, or you may need to change your product or think about who your customer is. Can your community support your farm and the product mix that you have? Is it already saturated? Is everybody growing the same thing? How is your farm different? Where do you fill in? Where are the gaps? Who is your competition, right? And I think farmers are often more successful when they are complementary and not competitive with each other. Just trying to price gouge, like, well, I'll sell cucumbers for cheaper and then everyone will buy my cucumbers. Well, why don't you just not grow cucumbers and grow something else that they're not growing that would also be in high demand? And what makes you special? Something makes each of you very special, whether it's your farm story, your family, your history, what it is that you grow, the way that you grow it. All of that goes into telling your story and selling your farm and really tapping into the values and emotions of your customers. And then what can get in your way? This is the stuff we don't like to talk about. It's not as much fun, but there are regulations, infrastructure concerns, things that might stop you. So when we research our markets, spend some time actually getting out there, looking at what's available, testing the waters a little bit, sampling your products, getting some feedback from people that will give you honest feedback, and really be open to what you find out. If everything tells you this is not a good idea, really think about maybe it's not the best idea. And just some other options, that are out there that are maybe a little less common would be growing seed, really high quality hay, some of those value added or cottage food products. And then of course, chickens, really easy to get into, and depending on how you do it, have varying levels of profitability. So that's all for that, and I hope I didn't cut into Diane's